What's up, boys? You ready to talk some Orioles baseball? Got our second collab finally.
This is the ugliest thing I've woken up to in a while, man.
Terrible. We need to
I'll shave next time.
Yeah, right. We need to set this up for an actual day.
It's good. It's good waking up to you guys, getting to talk some baseball, get the juices flowing for the day. So,
yep. I'm always awake this early.
Having little kids do that.
Me too. I've been up since 4:30. So, oof. Oh well.
I love it. I love that you're carrying the bat around now. It just reminds me of Few Good Men, where he's got the bat. I think better with the bat.
Yep.
Got to. It's baseball season, right?
Yep.
Standing up. We're excited. Gonna have some fun today. Talk some baseball. I guess we'll get into like the Elias comments first. And what he's been talking. Actually, I guess really what everyone's been talking about with spring training. But yeah, pick down. What have you been seeing first day? I guess it's been a couple days kind of since people have been starting to roll in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice that for pretty much the most part, we didn't get any kind of like shocking injury news, which is fantastic in my opinion.
The biggest news, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Wells is apparently already throwing. Even if it's just flat grounds, like it's just nice to see him throwing down there. So, I mean, Elias seems to think he and Bradish both, are going to be back in the second half at some point. That worries me a little bit because then, like, are we not going to make a move because you're planning on these guys to return? I would understand it if you didn't, but I'm also like, hey, like if there's a need, let's make move it. There's
policy?
What's that?
Insurance policy.
That's what I would want. I just don't know what direction they would want to do, like cause a log jam and whatnot. They're in a pretty tough situation, in my opinion. I know the fans want everybody to just go out and spend money and get this guy and get this guy. But like, if you're Mike Elias and you have all these young guys, you just bring someone else in and block everybody. Like, what kind of message does that send? Like, I have no confidence in you kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Okay, then how do you re-sign these guys? Like, do you lose your clubhouse at that point? Like, it's a tough spot. And I don't think fans really understand it. They just want to bash him.
I always ask, like, they're like, oh, we didn't do a big time move or we didn't bring in a high paid superstar. It's like, okay, well, which one did you want? Like, come at me with some solutions here and let's talk through it a little bit. But a lot of times,
Albert Suarez was last year. Like, that's what I was saying. Exactly.
I don't think Elias knew who he was.
Yeah. I don't think Albert Suarez knew who he was.
Right.
I mean, we didn't know who Cano was until he started tearing it up 2 years ago. So,
dude, a lot of people don't even know that Felix Bautista was so bad for the Marlins. He had a 21 ERA. And he literally sat out of baseball for a year after he got cut. No one even talked to him for a year. He was about to join the Dominican military, and Mike Elias calls.
He went to Old Country Buffet and ate a ton of food and got huge. And
he was that big in Florida. He threw 100 in Florida. He literally was just hitting everyone. Like, he had no control whatsoever, and he had no secondary pitch. Yeah. Sits out a year, Mike Elias calls. Like, I understand the whole dumpster diving thing, but it's worked. Like,
trust the process.
Danny Coulombe was nothing prior. He wasn't very good. Cano was nothing prior. Felix was nothing prior. Perez was, I mean, half our bullpen was pretty much cast-offs.
It feels good knowing you can trust the organization. That's where we're going. I mean, it's what we have to do.
Right.
Yeah. The Mets spending $750 million with people.
Well, not only that, I just don't know who they wanted to go get.
We would have all loved Corbin Burns. That was a shot in the dark.
But I mean, we'd have to pay $600 million to get him to come somewhere he doesn't want to play.
Right. Or you would have had to wait 8 years for a 33-year-old Max Fried or 30-year-old Max Fried. Like, I would have loved Max. Max was my number one guy.
Mm-hmm.
He would have fit in perfectly here. You don't go 8 years on a pitcher. Like, New York is going to hate themselves in 4 years.
You can. You just have to be ready to eat those last 2-3 years.
4 years.
I mean,
you win one title, it's worth it, right? I mean, not soon, but you're right. I mean, see the Albert Pujols deal. I know it's a position player.
I mean, we're still paying Alex Cobb this year $4.75 million.
Are we still paying Albert Bell too?
No. No, we got Bonilla. We got Bonilla another year or two, and we have
and Chris Davis another 10.
No, I don't think it's that many.
Or is it 4 now? It's 2029.
3 or 4, yeah.
But imagine like a first year owner, and you come in, you're like, hey, like we're gonna give this guy an 8-year deal, but we're likely gonna have to just eat $25+ million a year for the last 4 years because he's just not gonna be that good. Like that's an awesome thing to look a first year owner in the eye and say, that's not gonna happen. It's not even realistic.
And people are yelling, it's not our money that he's spending. He's spending his money. I mean, look at the Anaheim Angels. I think it might still be paying Josh Hamilton.
He's not spending his own money. That's what people don't understand. Like these owners don't spend. Steve Cohen does, but I would say 90% of the owners in the league don't spend their own money. They spend the team money. Like there's a pot. Okay. They don't pull their own money out and go buy guys. Like, yeah, maybe for signing bonuses, they'll move money, but that money's going right back to their account. They're not spending it and then it's gone forever.
Fair enough. That's a very fair point. I mean, I guess I don't think of it that way. I think that it's the organizational money. Like the Pittsburgh Pirates owner is just fucking banking money and buying yachts. But
maybe they don't make enough where he can spend. Like that's what I argue with people all the time. They're like, oh, well, we got one of the richest owners groups in all of baseball. Cool. They're not spending their own money. Like they have what was in the Orioles pot. Like that was agreed on when they bought the team. They've had how many fines they've had to pay to the Nationals because of the Masson bullshit. They're upgrading the stadium. Who knows what other else they had to pay out that, isn't public yet because Angelo screwed it up. Like that team fund really might not have been a whole lot.
Upgrading spring training.
Yeah. And Bowie's getting $50 million upgrade. I mean, that's not talked about a lot.
Yeah, but
is there a floor that the teams have to spend? I'm asking you guys.
Not yet.
No, but there will be.
That's going to be in the CBA.
Yeah. It should be in this. Like if that doesn't get passed, we're gonna have a long lockout.
They're getting close to it because like this year, they told the A's pretty much you have to spend X amount of dollars or we are not giving you the small market revenue fund anymore. Which is why they went out and gave out some of those pretty large contracts.
Dude, picked on you. You probably know this. Did Tony Clark and Rob Manfred see eye to eye in any way, shape, or form, or do they have a terrible relationship, or do they have a great relationship? I'm asking you.
I don't know too much about that situation, but I know not too many people get along with Rob Manfred.
Fair enough.
But I've chatted with Ryan McKenna a little bit, and from the Players Association standpoint, they want a cap and a floor because a floor obviously gets people paid more, and then a cap prevents smaller guys not getting paid at all. It's a balance between the two, and it's going to take years to figure out where that balance is because right now they're probably not close on it. But
without a doubt, because then you got to look at retroactive contracts like you have, like
the Mets and the Dodgers and the Phillies, like all these guys that are huge money for years down the line. Like, how do you combat that?
The biggest sticking point is going to be the deferred money situation. Right.
Is that grandfathered in, or like do you get penalized? Like, that's going to be the sticking point of all of it.
Kind of reminds me of the fucking Live Golf PGA Tour shit. Right?
Yeah, just spend it all up front.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, like with the Pirates and anybody else, really. But I mean, you might not be making that much to spend, but you're also not going to make that much if you don't spend it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't put a good product out there, I think the Pirates are actually in a good spot right now. They got a lot of superstars there that can draw. That's for sure.
Their pitching is insane, and it's only about to get better this year.
Yeah,
they're a trash organization, and
they are
like the Cleveland Browns. Like the Cleveland Browns can make the playoffs in the don't want this to happen, but the plane will fucking crash on the way there. Like
it's they're kind of in the same boat as the Orioles. You wanted them to make a little bit more noise than they did. I mean, especially the Pirates. Like finding hitting is so much easier than it is finding pitching, and I don't think they did enough. They really didn't. I mean, they could have been a little bit more active in free agency. Even if you just signed one guy, like you could have pulled a trade off. I mean, I know they like Heston Kjerstad a lot. Like lower your price a little bit. You've got freaking 9 legit starters. You already traded away one of them for Horitz. Now he's out. Like at this point, like they could have been a little bit more aggressive to put a good product on the field, but you're going to waste Paul if you don't. And everybody else, Jared Jones, they got another kid coming up, Bubba Chandler, who's probably better than Jared Jones. Like their pitching If they put some hitting on that field, they win that division. The same year they put some hitting on the field. Their pitching's that good. Their bullpen is stout.
Yeah.
They just can't score runs. They're like Seattle. They can't score runs. And Seattle's in the same boat. I mean, their owner came out this year. We only got about $16 million to spend this offseason. Like, that right there tells you the owner doesn't use their own money.
Fair enough.
You know, and
concession money.
Yeah, it's, you know, and they have a TV deal, and they only had $16 million to spend. It's the expectations from our fan base sometimes are a little over the top. And I get it, because we all want the team to win. I mean, God's sakes, we want a parade here in Baltimore. I get it, but things got to line up.
There's one satisfied fan base at the end of every season. That's it.
And sometimes they're not even satisfied.
Correct.
Yeah, they didn't win good enough.
Right.
Eagles fans probably pissed that Jalen Hurts didn't have 450 yards. You know,
right?
Just throwing something random out there. But I mean, there's one team that's successful, and we always say this: like, if you don't win the last game of the season, no one really gives a shit, right? The line for Moneyball. So, like, I like our squad. I enjoy it. I don't know. Everyone's got their own opinion, but we didn't make a big splash play. It is what it is.
Yep. Let's
rock and roll with what we got. And if Jordan Westberg is playing, I would take that guy. That guy has got a fucking iron fist that will punch somebody. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the lineup, look, they got to take a step forward at this point. But you got to trust them. I mean, you drafted all these guys. You developed all these guys. Again, you bring somebody else in and kind of throws – say if you burn in Alex Bregman. Okay, like, what do you do with Jackson Holiday now? You know? Did you block him at this point? Like, that pisses him off. Cool.
Put him in the bullpen?
Yeah, sure. You know, okay, maybe you moved him to the outfield. Like, okay, now you just screwed up Cedric Mullins' career, because now he doesn't have a chance to prove what he can do in a contract year. Like, and if you don't do that, you're taking him at bats away from Kerstad, like, who's your second overall pick. It's such a fine line to walk, man.
Good problems to have.
They are, but it also causes problems in the clubhouse. You know, future. You know, contract negotiations, future free agents, like
ARBs,
just all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's a fine line. And look, I get Elias's comments that, you know, you don't need a starter. I understand people got upset about that. I'm on the fence with him. I'll probably die on that hill. You don't need an ace when you have a good staff, but it's very, very nice to have.
Yeah.
And, there's some back and forth on Twitter about it. I mean, you know, I pulled some numbers. You know, some years the starting pitching dominates playoff runs, and some years bullpens dominate. But then when you really overall look at it, since like 2018, all the World Series winners, they were averaging around 80 runs a playoff run. So it really comes down to offense. Over on the grand scheme of things, they were all hitting between 20 and 30 home runs a playoff run. Some of them just 13 games. So it's a lot of offense, and that's what's been sputtering the most for us in the postseason anyway. So everybody's been crying about pitching, but if you ain't scoring runs, you ain't winning a game.
Steve Pearce won a fucking World Series MVP.
Right. Because he was hot and he hit the shit out of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I mean, Delman Young was, you know, made his career basically in October. You know, Kike Hernandez is still doing it.
Took the words out of my mouth.
You know, like, the guy's a 215, 220 hitter in the regular season, but he's a career 280 hitter in the postseason. Like, that's the kind of shit that gets you over the top.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, our bullpen was stellar. And I mean, last year our starters were much better than they were the year before, but our bullpen was way worse. So and then
I feel like right now the whole team is balanced.
It's a lot more balanced, yeah.
And it seems like the team loves each other. Like they came up together, and now they have their minor league manager on the staff, which is, I think, huge.
Yep. And you got Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie he's been around several young pitching staffs, and everybody loves him. He goes out there and he gives you 165, 175 innings. You know, he stays around a 4 or below a 4. Like, and
it reminds me of Kevin Millwood. It reminds me of Kevin
yes,
Millwood.
Exactly. But if you get look, so
I think we can with the Orioles, Kevin Millwood with the Indians.
If you can get Eflin and Grayson under a 3.5 ERA, and you keep Sagano, Kramer, and Morton under a 4.1, that's a damn good rotation.
Really good.
Like, that's probably a top 10 rotation in baseball.
And That phone looks like he chews glass. Like this guy looks like a Baltimore Oriole. Like
Yeah.
Dude, he's a big
learned that
son
in Philly.
bitch. He's a big son bitch. I was more excited to hear just the optimism for Wells and Bradish to potentially be back in the second half, because I thought there might be a chance with Wells because he didn't have like the more extensive surgery done,
Mhm.
but I was not expecting Bradish this year at all. So we'll see.
Dude,
We'll see if that
advancements in
actually happens.
surgeries are incredible nowadays. I mean, back in the day, it was like an 18-month surgery, with recovery. Then it was down to like 12 to 13. Now you're getting guys back in like 9.
I
Yeah.
remember when ACLs was like a career-ending injury.
Right. Now guys just get it and they're like out running again in like 4 months.
Yeah, exactly. Like Gale Harris might still be playing. And
Right.
The big one is shoulders. Shoulders, I don't think anyone's really and I think Dr. James Andrews even came out and said the shoulder is something they're still kind of developing.
The labrum.
Fix it.
The labrum screws up so much in pitchers. Like they've had so many Tommy Johns, like now it's just like, whatever. It's so easy to fix that. But the labrum, they can't figure out how to like get a guy back to what he once was.
I mean, I changed sports here, but that's what really fucked Cam Newton over.
Mm-hmm.
His
Yeah.
shoulder was just crushed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I hope none of this lat stuff with Grayson's leading to any labrum issues or rotator cuff stuff.
Most of it's back here with the lat,
Yeah.
thankfully. But so I've had labrum surgery, and they told me that I focused too much on the front. I mean, this is when I was younger. I do a lot of chest. I focused too much on the front and not enough on the back. So when you throw, and I used to throw hard. I threw 95 plus as a catcher. I had nothing behind there to slow it down. So it was all this force going forward.
Yeah.
And that's what Grayson has. Grayson throws 100 when he wants to. Like, it just doesn't have a whole lot back there.
Did you have recoil when you would throw? Did you have like a recoil in your arm?
Maybe. I don't remember.
That's what they said.
I threw like a catcher, though, so everything was like right here, and
Gotcha.
it was just a snap throw. So maybe I had a little bit of recoil.
They said that's what killed Sandy Koufax. So if you ever watch Sandy Koufax pitch, when he would throw, you'd see the recoil of his arm, and he had to put his arm in an ice bucket the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily I didn't have any shoulder stuff. Mine was always elbow. So,
Yep.
But I mean, I did a lot of football work, which I think became popular too, like right after us as well. Long tossing with the football to keep the shoulder strong.
Yep.
Which I got from Roger Clemens. So, luckily I didn't have any of that. Any of
Believe
those.
it or not.
You weren't wearing a weight vest and like a scuba pack like Paul Skeens.
Yeah. That guy's crazy.
I mean, if I could pitch like Paul Skeens and you told me I had to do that to do it, then yeah, I would.
Without a doubt.
Dude, when I was younger, and I attribute most of my arm strength to this, and we didn't know it as kids. My grandmother had power lines that went through her court, and my cousins and I, we all had fantastic arms. We would take a basketball and literally just chuck it up and over. Like that was the game, to get it up and over. So it was almost like throwing a football, but a basketball weighs even more.
Yeah.
And we're just kids just chucking this basketball back and forth, probably 25, 30 feet in the air. I mean, that's a good throw. And then as we all got older, we all had like fantastic arms. And I wonder if a lot of that played into it.
And you're hitting something that I've harped on big time with the kids I coached in high school at St. Paul's, Tapsco. Multi-sports, like doing something different, using muscles that you don't normally use. Like, for example, Spencer Horowitz, when he played for me at St. Paul's, he played hockey. And it just gave him he worked different things. He got bigger legs because of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I played football and soccer, and I was always running. And the year I stopped playing soccer in high school, I had labrum surgery. Yeah. Just I didn't run anymore.
I played badminton one time. That was awesome.
One time.
Really cool. Shuttle soccer.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of kids just don't run enough.
Well, now you have helicopter parents who want their kids to solely focus on one thing, which I think is one of the dumbest things possible. Let the kids be kids.
Yep.
Because all of a sudden, baseball becomes like taking out the trash.
It gets boring.
Yeah.
When it becomes a job when you're a kid.
No doubt.
I mean, look at Anthony Rendon. He's a professional. He's still boring for him, too.
He's currently taking out the trash for making $1 million to him.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he gets $5.6 million every time he puts an ice pack on himself.
Studies have shown.
Yeah.
I still remember the stupid statistic. The year A-Rod got suspended for doing PEDs, he still made $2.1 million because he wasn't suspended on the off days the Yankees had. So he still made $2.1 million. You gotta be kidding me. Now, I'll hit a hard-hitting topic here. Do you like Neapolitan ice cream?
I was sitting there the other day. I had to Google what it even was when you all were arguing about it.
Well, that don't mean no.
I'm a mint chocolate chip guy. Like, I won't try anything else. Mint chocolate chip or cookie dough. Like, just don't even put anything else in front of me.
Yeah, I won't either. I'm a chocolate chip cookie dough or Oreo. Like, we had Neapolitan ice cream in our fridge growing up, but none of us, like, if it was a last resort.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Brian, you would like that. Birdland the other day shared something with me that Tony Gwynn had more assists in college basketball than strikeouts in MLB.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And still holds the record for most assists, or it might have just got broken at San Diego State.
I love that statistic that Tony Gwynn had less strikeouts in the 90s than Chris Davis did in like 2015.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yep. Different ball game nowadays, though. God.
I would have loved to play for him at San Diego State.
I'm pretty sure some guys strike out more by the time April rolls around than Tony Gwynn does in a season.
I wish he was still around. He was killer. And that voice, just that like squirrely, nasally voice.
Yep.
So let's let Pigtown go into it. What are your thoughts on a lot of talk on Twitter about Dean Kramer and how he's not even a number 5 pitcher for our staff and not a good number 5 pitcher for our staff.
Great man bun though, before you get started.
Very great man bun. Yeah, I like it. And it's actually impressive that he's kept.
That's all I'm bringing to the conversation. That's all I'm bringing.
Look, I've always been a Dean truther. I like Dean a lot. I think he brings a lot to the ball club. He was kind of thrusted into the number 3 role in 2023. Sure, he pitched to a 4-2-1 or 4-1-2. I'm sorry, and he had plenty of guys that did. I mean, plenty of starts that he did really well, and he had some that he got hit around. At that point, he was second, third year in the league. Then you go into last year, and he was supposed to be your number 5, and he got thrusted back up into the 3 and 4 role. And he had a 4.10, but everything, strikeout rate got better. Walk rate went down. The home runs went down. Slugging went down. Like, everything went down. Everything got better. He had that 1 month where he got hit around a little bit because he was hurt. He missed some time. Came back and dominated. Pitched really well. And he's got his last 50-some starts against the AL is like a 3.7 ERA.
What did his whip do? Do you have whip stats?
I can pull it up. I'm pretty sure the whip went down from.
He's a 1-1 or 1-2.
Yeah.
The reverse of Aldo Jimenez, where the whip was going up and we signed to a massive contract.
Yes.
I'm not trying to bring up.
Well, Dean, he's a bulldog. He's a bulldog too.
He's a plow horse.
Dean wins games that he shouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Whip went from 1.31 to a 1.24 last year.
Awesome. It's going the right direction.
That got better. Batting average of balls in play went from a 293 down to a 257. FIP went down from a 4.51 to a 4.32. Like, everything got better.
What was that stat?
FIP.
I'm not a big believer in FIP.
It's a made up stat, but a lot of people look at it. I mean, the thing with Dino is
it's
just
basically like how many. It's kind of like how many home runs you give up. Versus I think it's
rate.
Has to do with. I think it has to do with walks and home runs or earned runs with home runs or something like that.
Yeah.
But basically, if you have a higher FIP, you give up more. Man, I forget how
giving up more home runs means you give up more runs. It's
I forget how it's. Well, yeah, but it was a stat where I heard how it's calculated, and I'm like that can be skewed 100 different ways. Like, I don't believe in this stat at all. But
there's so many sabermetrics now that it almost seems like we just use data because we need to use it. And I'm not shitting on sabermetrics. I'm just saying there's so much data now that it seems like we just need to justify using it.
No, this
is the one I always look at.
Yeah, that's the one I like that one as well. FIP is more. It'll make a good pitcher who gives up a solo bomb here and there look bad. Like, their FIP will be bad.
And that's what Dean is. Dean's a solo guy.
Yeah. And I don't mind solo. Give up a solo. Right. I'd rather you give up a solo bomb than walk a couple guys.
And I vividly remember Ben McDonald talking about that in one game that he gave up 2 solo bombs. Like, you don't lose games on solo bombs. You can't score 3 runs and
have fun.
Yeah.
How many solos did Corbin Burns give up in the first 2 innings last year?
Oh my god!
Almost every start, right?
It was like get out of the first inning, and Corbin Burns going to fucking deal the rest of the time. He's going to choke up your ass. Yeah.
But like, so, I mean, kind of finishing up on Dean. So in 2021, the average was 292 against him. 22, 262, 23, 254. Last year, 223. You know, and K rates, K through 9, 21, 7.9, went down in 22 to 6.2, then to 8.2, and then 8.5. So, like, he's literally getting better every year he gets older, and yet, like, some people, like, just want to get rid of him. Like,
stupid. It's pitching the fucking AL East. I mean,
right.
You got heavy hitters.
Right. And I got to pull it up because his numbers against the East in his last almost 30 starts are fantastic.
He might have like half of a digit lower in ERA if he pitched in the AL Central.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So his last 27 starts, this is since 2022, 27 starts against the AL East, he's got a 3.41. Show me how many pitchers in baseball have a 3.41 against the AL East.
That's the guy you want on your staff.
Right.
And that's a guy who knows the fucking league, like our division.
And then away starts. His last 37 away starts, he has a 3.72.
Yeah, and we got to remember too, like every single time he's in a big game and he's got that he's like mean mugging people.
He goes 6 innings every time.
Man, he's like, let's fucking go. Give me the ball.
Yeah.
Like
he gives up his solo home run, you know, and then he buckles in.
He's like, have a nice jog around the bases. That's what all you're going to get is one.
Right. He gets the ball back. He smacks his glove down. He gets pissed off. He starts cussing himself out. He makes the man bun a little bit tighter, and then he goes another 4 innings.
He pitches like he's double parked, and he's Ryan Flaherty with a rubber.
Yes,
he's just ready to rock and roll.
Yes, that's a great analogy.
Grab a little lotion out of the hair, you know.
But he's just a guy. Excuse me. He's just been thrown into roles he probably shouldn't have early in his career, and I'm not going to say he like shoved, but he produced, and you know, and when you get better every year, like what more can you ask for? And like I seen this morning, people like, oh, Dean's going to go 10-12 this year with a 4.57. What in his numbers show you that he's going to get worse? I would love for anyone to try and show me that.
I would love him in an alley with me. I'll put it that way. I want that guy in the alley with me.
Like,
man bun and all. I want it.
Yeah.
I'll bring the hair oil. I'll bring whatever I need. LA looks yellow. I don't care. Like,
the guy takes 110 off the wrist and makes the next start when he had a fucking baseball size welt on his arm.
And he pitched well that start, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yep.
I love him. He's not belt high Bud Morris. He is fucking Dean Kramer. He's coming in hot. I love it.
Right. And I was starting to get frustrated with some people on Twitter, and I was starting to cuss a little bit. I had to kind of calm myself down. Like the expectations, like I feel like everybody expects our rotation to be like the Dodgers. Like we can just go out and afford to sign 5 number ones.
We have a guy named Steve Sagano.
Right. Like Dean Kramer is probably a number 3 on almost 3/4 of baseball teams in this league.
Oh, hell yeah.
Without a doubt.
But our fan base doesn't even want him as a number 5.
Yeah, which I don't get. Like,
it's not a splash. It's not a big splash.
It's not a big name.
He's not a big name. He doesn't have he's got great stuff, obviously, but he's not running it up there to 99, 98. He's not throwing like these big, flashy pitches. He just pitches. He knows how to pitch.
Right. He hits his spots.
He hit 91 in little cut action. It's fucking fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's usually,
shit. They want to see fucking numbers on radar.
Yeah. They want to see strikeouts. Like, I understand his K through 9 is only in the 8s. You know, a good pitcher, it gets 2 more Ks a game in the 10s and up. 2 to 3 more a game. Like,
sounds like more pitches you got to make.
Greg Maddux always say pitch to contact.
That's what Dean does.
Yes.
That's exactly what Dean does.
Corbin's a strikeout.
Yeah. You'll get burned from time to time. I understand. But
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Make it a solo bomb. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit. Like, give up a solo bomb, keep pitching. Who cares?
Yep.
If we can't win,
people bring up that start that he had in the playoffs when he probably shouldn't have been starting, you know, with what was going on in the world and his family and stuff like that. But like, cool.
Yeah.
A young guy got lit up in the postseason. Just pencil me shocked.
But didn't he say he wanted the ball? Like he went to hide and said,
because that's who he is.
I want that guy in my dugout. I want that guy in the alley.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I did. you know, I don't know.
I've
I've heard rumors, and I don't know if they're 1,000% true, but I have heard rumors from several organizations that have dealt with Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease has always shied away from the big game, and he's always found a way to not have the ball when it matters. And then when you go and you look at him against certain teams in his league, he gets his shit pushed in. So it kind of makes sense. Dean Kramer's the complete opposite. You know, games that we have to win, or clinching type games, or playoff clinching type games. Dean has won the last 3 for us?
Yep.
And with dominating fashion.
Joe Saunders won a playoff game for us.
Yeah. Like, yeah, just the disrespect to Dino is crazy. I don't want the guy to be a number 3, but as a number 4, number 5 on this rotation, like, that is freaking good.
Yeah.
Could help you win a lot of ball games.
You want that guy on your spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want that guy on your dugout.
Yeah. And then the other guy that was fired, well, I guess we were talking about some trades that happened last year, and everybody's all hell bent on the Trevor Rogers
Great last
trade and who we gave up for him. They're like, yeah, well, it's going to go down as one of the worst trades in history. And then I read Pigtown's post that he put out on it, and he goes, I guess you guys don't remember these trades, but
no, the Dallas Mavericks made the worst trade of all time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in Orioles history, I guess I should say. I'm like, no, I mean, Norby's probably going to be a solid player, but like I saw Pigtown put out there, Stowers is going to struggle to make the team this year. I mean, I think he's a 4A player, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's stability. That's somebody you would love to have down there for depth, but
yeah,
I mean, he's 27 years old, 28 years old.
Yep.
Going back to Zach's point, like, it's a log jam. Like, where were you going to put him?
There was a log jam here, and now there's a log jam in Miami because Conine's son is starting to hit really well. Like that, he just took Kyle Stowers' spot.
Mm-hmm.
Second team all forearm, Chef Conine, great.
Right. And Stowers is he's a great 4th outfielder. He's a great defensive replacement.
He's solid.
He's a solid player that they basically allowed Kyle to go get playing time. He was thrown in that trade to go get playing time rather than just rotting in Norfolk, coming up and down. They did him a favor. And people use him that, like, you know, oh, he was a big part of that trade. Like, he was thrown in there so he had an opportunity to play in this league. That's all it was.
Him or Norby that they asked to change positions like right away when he got there?
Norby. They sent him to third base right away.
Yeah. And he'll do fine. He'll never make an all-star team as a third baseman, like people are saying. Oh, he's poised for an all-star season. No, he's not. He's not even close. He's never going to beat out Manny Machado for an all-star nod at third base. like come on, guys. Like he had defensive issues in our minor leagues, which is why he fell out of the top 100. You know, he strikes out a ton. You know, people just overvalue, and I get it because when you look at it, like Trevor Rogers hasn't done anything yet. Let the damn thing play out.
We got another year this year, next year, I believe, with him, right? Or is it just this year?
Next year too.
Next year too. I mean, we got 2 more years with the guy. He's already coming in. He's apparently getting clocked at 93 miles an hour, which
I laughed at because somebody was like, "Oh my God, it's only 93." Oh golly, and I'm like, and I looked it up. A consistent 93 would be the 6th best fastball in all of baseball for left-handed pitching.
I think average mile per hour is 92.5
for lefty. Yeah.
So, but you know, the thing is, the closet fan that comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden is bitching and moaning because we don't have splash players out in the off season. We have good problems, and we should skew positive because remember where the fuck we were. Like we looked at, I think Brooks or Dustin brought up like one of our lineups like from 6 or 7 years ago.
Not even that.
That was like a double A
4
lineup.
years ago.
Yeah. Dude, in 2022 we had a AAA lineup before they pulled up Adley.
I think Geronimo Heel might have been our best hitter at one point in our lineup.
No, it was Hanser Alberto.
Who is that? That guy might be working.
He hit like 280 here, and then like his career was over. And then who was the other guy who played third who hit like 35 home runs?
Ryan Miner? No, I'm kidding.
No. This was recent. Wasn't Rio Ruiz. It was a bigger guy.
Mark Reynolds?
No.
That guy loved striking out, but loved hitting fucking dingers. He was Big Al.
I got to figure out his name. But he went somewhere else and then just sucked. Like absolutely sucked.
like a Ravens defensive player. He's goes somewhere else.
Where is he? Where is he? We had Kelvin Gutierrez. I remember him too. Rio Ruiz. Who was the other guy? Was he not
They
here?
sound like janitors.
You're right. DJ Stewart we once had. This is in 2021. We had Maikel Franco played third for us in 2021, and Freddie Galvis played shortstop. Like, people are quick to forget that. Pete Valleca played second base.
I think DJ Stewart ate every single munchkin from Dunkin' Donuts when he was in town. It was unbelievable.
Was it 2022 he was here?
Yeah,
God, the guy hit a ton of home
Sports
runs.
Zone. Yeah, that might go down as the worst one, but
Yeah, without a doubt.
talking more recent than that.
I mean, it's
Ryan
when you look,
maybe
when you
it was
look at
2020.
when you look at the lineups we used to have, we have great problems to have. Like we really do have problems. We're trying to find
Ronaldo Nunez.
Ronaldo
Oh
Nunez.
yeah.
Saw him at Nick's Fish House. Doesn't know how to eat a crab. It's unbelievable. Watching him whack.
Yeah, he
away.
hit 31 home runs for us in 2019, and then hit 12 the next year and went to Detroit, and he was out of baseball.
That's good.
Like, that was who we had playing infield for us literally 4 years ago.
Yeah, he works at an Enterprise rental car. Like, it's ridiculous.
Selling insurance.
And like, I get it, man, but there's a plan here, and I understand that people want to expedite the plan. It literally is working.
You can trust the organization. I can't believe we're even saying these things.
Right.
It's like where we came from. Or we
Like,
were literally an ice cream shop.
Teams are calling. Like, we don't even have the need to bring up Bradfield right now. And teams are calling to make him their starting center fielder in the big leagues right now. They want him. And we're just like, we're content seeing him in AA and AAA for another year because we're just going to wait that one out.
Do you think
Like, that's how deep the damn team is.
You think that's the SETI backup?
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
He might be here this year, depending on if they move Cedric at the deadline or not. Cedric might, and I'm not bashing Cedric, might find himself as an Austin Hayes situation
if he doesn't get hot.
If either one, he doesn't get hot, or two, some little stupid freak accident happens and he loses playing time and somebody else gets hot, and then he's a backup player in a contract year. I don't want that to happen.
He's going to be mad because he's in a contract year. He wants to get paid.
Right.
Understand.
And it's those are the things that's how deep this freaking team is. And I get it that there's no big name or stuff, but they're so deep that they have major league talent just sitting in the minor leagues because they don't need it yet. And they're going to have more.
My biggest concern going into the season is frustration from the guys that aren't getting playing time.
Yeah.
That's what it was last year too. I mean, that's what it was last year. We're going to have that concern with Kobe Mayo.
You're going to have it with Mayo. I think Basai understands he's still pretty young. Bradfield probably understands as well. You're going to start eventually seeing it with Beavers eventually. Look, and I remember beginning last year, and he deleted it almost immediately. Connor Norby tweeted out, "Yay for Norfolk for year 3." Like, he was pissed. He went back to Norfolk. Like, it's going to happen because the organization is that deep. And like smart. This, and put yourself in Elias's shoes. Like, how do you start to make some of these decisions? Like, I don't think people, and look, this is so overlooked of how good the pitching is coming up through this organization. If you go out and sign a bunch of guys, now you're blocking all them too. Like, it's such a tight rope that Mike's going to have to walk, and fans aren't going to understand it.
Sig Medvedev, he's amazing. He's such a smart man. I see him on a regular basis. He's such a smart guy, so analytical, and he gets the game, and he understands personalities, which is great.
Right.
I've never met Mike Elias before, but Sig is like a guy who's personable, so he can go in and talk to you and kind of calm you down. It's great.
And we talk about getting another ace or a number one guy, and you're sitting here talking about, like, we bring somebody in for, like, in the field and it blocks somebody and then they're pissed. Like, how do you think Grayson's going to feel if we bring another ace in and, like, slot him in at the number 2 or number 3 again?
Right.
Like, I think
taking money out of his pocket.
Yeah, this is Elias. This is Elias going, this is your team. We got 5 more years with you until we got to deal with it. 4 more years do we got to deal with you? Like, go be the
Here's
face.
your opportunity.
Go be the face.
Yeah.
Go be the face. And he's a bulldog too. I mean, you see when he comes out of games, he's fucking screaming into his own glove.
Yeah.
I love it. I dig it. I
right.
love that.
Like you said, imagine Grayson was probably already pretty upset last year when they asked him to pitch out of the bullpen.
Mhm.
Probably. Like you said, bring somebody else in and then block him again.
Yeah.
Like, okay, your numbers and your starts still do matter, but you're not being talked about as that guy. So instead of you getting 250, 300 million in the open market in 2030, like now you only get maybe like 170 or 180. Like you're taking money out of his pocket. It's going to piss him off and he's not going to sign here.
Yeah.
You know?
And
you got to do the same thing with the position guys. Like you don't want to piss off Holiday. You don't want to piss off Westberg. You don't want to piss off Kauser and Kerstad. Like you drafted all these guys and now they got to earn their playing time. And I like what Elias said. Like Heston has earned his right to play right field. Like he hasn't bitched. You know, he's been kind of shafted a little bit, just like Stowers was, but he didn't bitch, and he goes out there, and when he gets his opportunity, he performs pretty well prior to getting hit in the head. Like they got, sometimes you just got to let your guys play. You got to trust them a little bit. And and I'm glad you brought up Sig. Sig's an analytical guy. This is an analytical organization. And if you don't fit their analytics, they're not going to waste their time trying to sign you. And I don't think people quite grasp that just yet.
And what I really appreciate about Sig, and I'm not going to divulge too much information, but he doesn't really give a lot of shit about that, like spin rate and velo stuff. He's looking at other things. Like that's why I bring up whip, and we talk about these other sabermetric stuff. I love the way he thinks. It's just he blows my mind when he talks.
He wants to keep guys off the base pass, and he wants the ball on the ground.
Yes. And
he's going to look for guys that do that. And I'm glad you bring up Heaney because Heaney checks that box. I love Heaney, whether he's in the bullpen or not. But again, like you bring in Heaney, now Cade Povich doesn't start.
Yeah.
Now Cade Povich has to go back to Norfolk at 25 years old. Like Chase McDermott's already blocked at 26. And Brandon Young, 27. Like,
and you're aging. I mean, you're archaic almost in the minor leagues at that point. So.
And then, now you've got guys coming up. Nestor Gremain's going to kind of fly through the system. Zach Fruit's going to fly through. Dylan Hyde. Cade Stroud's already 27. He throws 100 miles an hour. They've got some guys. Bowie is going to be absolutely loaded this year with arm talent.
Stroud's up at Major League camp. Like I saw he was throwing yesterday, throwing live somebody.
Yeah, from what I read, we saw the video with Adley. He made Adley look really bad. But he also
easy to do throwing 100 miles an hour on the first.
He threw the ball past Gunner, which I mean, that's not easy to do.
Adley can't change his own dishwasher. But that's a real story.
But yeah, the arm talent that we have coming is incredible. And if you bring multiple guys in like we want, you're just blocking more of that. And then if we trade pitching, like people are going to bitch about that too.
People are going to bitch one way or the other. I mean, that's what they do. They ain't bitching, they ain't breathing. But who do you see coming up throughout the duration of the year? Do you see like 2 or 3 guys that we're really going to focus on?
Do we have room? Outside of injury. Like if everybody stays healthy, do we have room to give somebody a chance? I mean, here and there, you're going to see somebody probably come up because they do like to move guys around in the bullpen to kind of give it a little bit of rest and bring in a fresh arm from here and there. You're going to see 1 or 2 new guys this year, I think. You might see McDermott again. Okay. You probably see Brandon Young in the bullpen once or twice.
Baker's going to be up there back and forth when you need him.
Yeah, I mean, you might see Cade Stroud come in the bullpen because he throws 100.
Who's the other guy? Who's the other guy throwing 100?
No, he's righty. 100 Zach Fruit. But he was just in Aberdeen last year. He's a young guy. Like, there's a lot of arm talent in Bowie this year.
The lack of lefty arm talent scares the shit out of me.
It does, and I've talked about that a lot. Like people are like, oh, let's trade Cade Povich. I'm like, oh, cool. Then you only have literally one left-handed guy besides what the hell's his name? Luis Gonzalez, who's a 30-year-old in AAA.
We can bring back Jamie Moyer if we wanted to.
Right. But like you need to hold on to your lefties. Like please don't give up the only left-handed pitching you have that's pretty decent to acquire Dylan Cease. Like please don't do that.
Don't do that.
I mean, I like Chase McDermott a lot, but I mean, you have so many righties. Like if it comes down to that, let him be that guy.
With this Rogers thing, indeed, this is pretty minor thing. I think
he's gonna be back in like a week or 2.
He's ready to go. I mean, so to put this in, I dislocated my kneecap before and like a full one, and I was back within like 4 months probably. And this was just this was just a slip in and out. Like it didn't stay out. He's already throwing. He's throwing right now. He's throwing off a mound and everything, I believe.
And we don't even know when it happened. They didn't even talk about that.
It's a strong last name. Strong last name. He's going to be
And to be honest,
strong guy.
And to be honest with you, might or probably, depending on how his spring training goes, would have started in the minors as well.
Right.
To start the.
But you need left-handed arm talent, and
Yeah.
that's why that trade happened last year.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer that trade for Norby and Stowers was supposed to be for Ryan Weathers. I talked about it a lot on my channel. They wanted Ryan Weathers, and then he dislocated his finger and had to go on the IR. And then
Who's
they
Ryan
pivoted
Weathers?
to he's a lefty starter for the Marlins, and he's pretty damn good. And I actually saw a picture of him here recently. He dropped another 15 pounds, so now he's really good looking and in shape. And when he had to go on the IL, because you can't trade guys on the IL, I think they pivoted to Trevor Rogers because he's still pretty decent and he fit their analytic approach.
Yeah, and we forget he was an all-star 2 years ago. Like the guy still has good stuff. He just needs to figure it out. And hopefully
He just needs to stay healthy.
That too.
And people, and I've said it multiple times on Twitter, I was in the organization and a lot of the guys are still there. The Marlins are not very good at rehabbing people. Not very good. And you saw it with Luzardo. Luzardo didn't come back very strong. He's going to be stronger now in Philly because Philly's probably a lot better rehabbing. Alcantara, you'll probably see him struggle a little bit coming up. Ryan Weathers, Rogers didn't come back right. Who's the other young kid? The 21-year-old for the Marlins who's fantastic. But he got hurt twice.
On this? Like, what makes their organization not great at rehab?
I think they rush him back.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I fractured my ankle, and I think they pretty much taped me up every day, and I kept playing.
Like fire sale you?
Yeah.
Get you back.
Like, that's just what they do. Yeah. And then when I went to the Orioles, it was like I hyperextended my elbow, and it was like 3 weeks. And I'm like, guys, I can throw. Like, I hyperextended my throwing elbow, and I'm throwing. Why can't I play? We got to make sure that you're ready to go. Like, we don't want you to get hurt again. Like, it's not, if you have to sit out another week, Sixto Sanchez, that was one. And then the other guy, it's just how the Marlins are. And the Orioles have Trevor Rogers. I'm sure they gave him a plan to get healthy and stuff. You're going to see a different guy.
I think so too. And we've historically not been good at developing pitching, but that was the last regime. This is a whole new regime. So hopefully that's changing in the right direction. I mean, we've seen it already.
This is what I was talking about. He came back and then immediately got Tommy John.
The Marlins.
Yeah. And then their other top prospect, Max Mayer, already hurt. And then Braxton Garrett too. So 3 of your top arms for the Marlins have already been hurt. And Edwin Cabrera is another one. Like, when these guys leave there, they get better again. They're great when they come up and then they get hurt, and then they come back and they get hurt again, and then they're shit. But
it's interesting. That's behind the scenes kind of stuff right there. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just dumb stuff. Like, I literally put tape on my ankle for a fractured ankle. I mean, I can still run, but I get it. It's just how they operated. I mean, they do some things they did really well. Now, granted, this was 10 plus years ago. They did some things really good, but there's just some things that they just don't. And it depends on the person too. And the Orioles were just like overly cautious.
The Marlins won 2 freaking World Series. Jesus.
Right. Christ. Yeah. Like I said, they do some things good, but they have a lot of high turnover. Like Brandon Hyde, Tim Cousins, all those guys came from the Marlins. So like, they all did. They left the Marlins. They went to the Cubs.
The Astros. And then,
yeah. So like when Brandon was there, Freddie Gonzalez was the manager at the Marlins, and then Hyder was the AA coach. Tim Cousins was the catching coordinator. Who else was there? I think it was some of the guys that we let go. The bench coach last year, I forget his name. The Latin guy.
The bench coach.
The other guy, the major league coach, I forget his name. But he was with the Marlins too. And then, so like, this is how deep this coaching staff was back then. The Houston Astros manager was the infield coordinator back then with Freddie Gonzalez, Joe Espada.
Yeah. That's his brother-in-law, right?
Yeah. That's Brandon Hyde's brother-in-law. Like, that's how deep the Marlins coaching staff was back then.
What is the purpose of a bullpen coach? To answer a phone?
Pretty much you answer the phone, okay. And then you can call in and say like, hey, this guy, is just not feeling good that day.
I want to apply for that job. I can answer a phone.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, my buddy Joel Polanco is still the bullpen catcher. He makes $1 million a year just to travel with the team and catch bullpens.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. I mean, you got to kind of keep them on a time frame too. You're basically the messenger, but
yeah,
you're relaying. You're trying to make sure that they're ready to go by a certain.
Pitchers are soft, man. Brooks are soft.
Well, so they'll also like he'll be in contact with Drew French. You know, if they're working on something, he's keeping an eye out. Like especially if they're working on like something a little bit different, like maybe he was tipping a pitch or something. He'll look at that while he's warming up to make sure that they're doing what they trying to do.
Fair enough. Drew French was like a really good coach and a young guy too. He's got to be one of the youngest freaking coaches.
Came from Atlanta. You know, we all know how Atlanta's pitching is.
Yep.
And I mean, we saw our pitching last year kind of hold it together, even through all those injuries. You know, we had grocery store baggers in the bullpen at the end of the year. Like they kept it together enough. You know?
Enough to get us to limp into the playoffs.
Right. And then dominated in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Only gave up 3 runs in 2 games? The whole pitching staff?
Yes. Now, do we think Hyde is on the hot seat? I'm going to assume we're all going to say yes, but do we think he's on the hot seat?
I think he's on the Joe Girardi leash.
Fair enough. That's good. That's good.
You come out and you're 25-20 or something like that, I think they pull the plug.
He's not going to Jim Riggleman up and leave. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only way he's going to what Big Town said, if we start the year in rough shape, then he's going to get pulled pretty quickly, I think. But I just don't see that happening. I just don't think we'll start as bad as we need to for him to be fired. Because I just do I agree with everything he does? No, but I mean I don't think he's a terrible manager.
There's people that don't agree with what Booch Boshi does every night. Like
he has a huge head.
We could all agree there.
Like 8.25 or something ridiculous. What a coach!
Yeah, just.
With Buck Britton coming up, he's got to be feeling a little bit of pressure. I'm assuming.
Trino's too. And a lot of people are overlooking that. I mean, look, people like catchers as their managers because they handle everything. Trino's is that guy. And look, Buck was kind of like a catcher, but he played primary outfield. But with him winning with all these guys in several spots, AA, AAA, he's there for a reason.
That's why he's got the feel of the squad because he brought them all up. Brendan Hyde has to be feeling a little bit of pressure. Has to.
I'm sure a little bit. And I think he's probably also going to embrace the role where he's still going to teach Chirinos and Buck because it's just how baseball is. It's a small community, and you keep your relationships good because if, say, Brandon has a good year or so.
Unless you're Ozzie Guillen. Ozzie Guillen didn't really.
Yeah. But like, say Buck Britton gets hired somewhere else, right? Brandon in a year or 2 gets fired. Well, guess who's probably going to pick up the phone? Buck Britton. He's going to call Brandon Hyde. They all kind of recycle and stay friendships that because of that. I don't think Brandon Hyde would ever do anything to jeopardize that. That's just kind of not how the game's run. It's not like football.
Once again, like we've talked about before, there seems like a lot of continuity with the team. So, I mean, I'm not saying, Buck Britton's coming in to, fucking sabotage Brandon Hyde.
No, he's coming to learn. And Brandon is a guy that's going to teach him. And I think he's on board with that.
Without a doubt. And the man knows how to eat a crab. I've watched him eat a crab before.
Yeah.
He knows it. Pulls the apron back, goes in for the good meat. Well done.
I want to see Brandon get a little bit more fired up this year. I miss when Brandon Hyde would get tossed more often. Yeah. And I think the team missed that too a little bit last year.
I want some fire.
I like fire.
Yeah. I think he feels more pressure for the offense to come out and perform than he does. It's like Buck Britton sitting there. Just like, I just don't think he's not going to sit there and keep stuff like all those guys need to be in cohesion and a good working relationship for the team and the clubhouse to be successful.
We all know this as baseball players. You got to be self-motivated too. Like Brandon Hyde should be fucking motivating you. Like you don't need Billy Bean coming in and fucking hitting the goddamn stereo system with a baseball bat. Like you need to be fired up. And so I mean, Brandon Hyde is basically he's managing personalities.
That's all it is.
It's all it is. So
that's all it is. And you got to make some in-game decisions and stuff. And sometimes we talked about it before. We don't know what's going on in the bullpen that night. That kind of stuff doesn't go public. If Cano's just not feeling good that night, or Cano had, too much a little tequila the night before and he's sick. Like we don't know that. And there's a reason for that, because you don't want the other team to know that either. So when he goes out there and you're like, oh, why are you not going to Cano? Why are you going to Perez? There might be a reason why. It might not just be because Brandon Hyde's an idiot.
Yeah, or when they take him out after one inning or whatever it is, one batter to end the inning, and they're like, oh, why didn't we bring him back? It's like, because he probably said he was only good for one batter this game.
Yeah. And some guys don't perform well when they go in and sit down and come back out.
Yeah.
Like we saw that with Cano a couple of years ago when they used to try him out for 2 innings. He was dominant the first one and he sucked in the second one. Like
second. Oh,
yeah, some guys just, if they're not used to it, going in there and sitting down and waiting, it's not good for them. So
you can't fire a guy up and then you got to refire him. It's just not going to work.
Right. Right. So,
Right.
I mean, they know their guys better than we know them. And there's also organizational philosophies too. And
without a doubt,
that seems to be a philosophy from the major league team on down, where you get your 1 inning and rarely you'll get a second inning.
hey guys, it's Hillary.
Hello.
Hi, Hillary. Yeah, which I'm okay with in certain situations, but I mean, there are situations where it'd be nice to see them go more than 1 inning just to save the bullpen at times, but that goes back to we don't know what's going on out there.
Exactly. I have a question. It's a little bit of a curveball here. Is there anything that the Major League Baseball is trying out in the in spring training rules wise that's new?
Just in the minors.
I think they're doing. Are they doing the
Robot umps?
No, the challenge.
I don't know if they're
pitch
doing it in
challenge?
spring. I don't know if they're doing it in spring training or not.
I have to look that up.
Obviously, this would be the time to do it. I think the robot umps is being done in the minors.
Yeah, and it seemed pretty successful.
So they are expected to test the system further this spring training, potentially implementing it fully in the majors in the near future. So we are going to see that this year.
What system?
The pitch challenge. So if you want to challenge that it is a ball or a strike, you just tap your helmet and the umpire turns around and there's a green or red light that turns on whether it goes through the strike zone or not. They did it all last year in the minor leagues and it worked out really well. Literally took like 15 seconds, if that. They actually show the strike zone on the screen. They show where the ball passed. And if it was a strike, it's green. If it wasn't, it's red. And then you either win or lose your challenge. And I think you only get 2.
Get in and get out. Best man speech. Yeah. Get in and get out.
And everybody gets to see it. So it's not like you can say, oh, it really was a strike. Like the whole stadium gets to see it.
I like that. I dig that. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
So, but do you get like a certain amount of challenges? Is that on the screen you have there you can read, or?
I think in the minors you got 1 per inning. This, I think you get 2 per game. Unless you win, then you get a third or fourth. But like, think about how many times that we've watched like late innings or something, and Angel Hernandez would really F something up with bases loaded and strike a guy out. Where he should have walked in a run, he strikes out. Like that'll be nice.
How did that guy have a job?
Yeah, I don't know.
Steve Sagano has reported.
Great legs.
So somebody made some good points because I'd asked because he was in Hawaii throwing, but he needed a work visa because once you get to spring training, you start getting paid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he really went home. He just waited. He had to wait for the work visa to get approved.
What do you like train in Hawaii? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, because it's a quick flight to Japan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
4 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Steve Sagano.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's your starting rotation here since we're talking?
Grayson is 1, Eflin is 2, Morton is 3, Sagano 4, Dean 5, or flip flop those 2. Whoever has a better spring.
You think Sagano starts? Not.
Mm-hmm. I think they gave him an opportunity to.
All right.
I was looking at the numbers over in Japan, and they are ridiculous, even as a 34-year-old last year.
Mm-hmm.
Are they comparable?
Well, it's hard to say. Usually you can say no, but like the last year and a half with some of these pitchers coming over, even the ones that aren't throwing hard are coming over and being pretty damn good over here.
Yeah.
So something's been transitioning lately. Whether they
hit your spots.
Whether they figured out how to transition to the new ball a little bit better or what. But I don't know.
I mean, for me, if you hit your spots, you hit your spots. And look, 90 will still a 90 mile an hour fastball painted is still better than a 95 mile an hour fastball down the middle.
Yeah, but I think he throws harder than 90.
I think he was throwing 93 in
Yeah.
Japan, where they clock things a little bit differently. So I'm interested if he'll hit 94, 95 here.
Faster here, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it's
So
just
we talked
different.
about it before the show. Let's talk about it here while we've got some people watching.
Yeah.
Marcus Stroman. And does
Yeah.
he make sense for the Orioles? He wants to start. His numbers against the East are not great, but overall, they're decent. Does he fit as a starter, or could they convince him to be a dominant setup man? I don't think you're going to convince him right now, but is it worth
No.
even adding another loop into all of these starters?
In my opinion, no, but I don't love Stroman right now. I know you and Brian were saying that you liked him, but he's not my favorite.
Yeah.
He
He's
just
a
has-
little
he hasn't-
firecracker.
He hasn't been the same in what, 3 years?
Yeah.
It's been 3 years since we've seen probably good Stroman. I know one of those years was an injury, but I just don't think it's worth having a cancer in the clubhouse if he comes in and he doesn't get a starting job and then he sits there and pouts the whole time.
I would love him as a setup guy.
So would I. I mean, if somebody can go talk to him and say, "Hey, how cool would it be for you to come out of the bullpen and have lights flashing and do
Right.
something?" You know what I mean?
And make $10, $13 million like other like good setup guys.
Yeah.
Let Lamar Jackson's mother talk to him.
Ouch, tackle him in the yard.
Yeah. I don't know. I sitting here looking at, and I posted it yesterday. The Yankees have a dire need for a third baseman. They don't have one right now. And would it be smart to trade Ramon Urias there? I don't want to face him, honestly, but they have I think he was like last year ranked like their number 21 prospect. So it's not like you're getting a ton back, but they have a guy who's 21. He's 6'7", and he has a 70 grade fastball. He touches triple digits quite often. I forget his name right now, Lang Range or something like that. He's a Latin guy. They signed him 2 years ago out of the Dominican. They have a need for a third baseman. We have a need for high velocity arms. Something like that makes sense, even though a guy would be 2 years away. Or is
You think he's 2
this
years
team
away?
needs to? Well, I mean, at 21, he only pitched in A ball last year, and I don't know. I love Ramon, and I think he's absolutely fantastic for this team, especially coming off the bench. Pretty decent glove, but he's blocked. You know, playing time's not going to be a ton, and you still have Emmanuel Rivera, who we saw was a pretty decent hitter. I mean,
And Mateo.
as you could get a decent little value back from Ramon Urias,
Yeah,
higher
I
than
know.
you would get for Rivera or Mateo, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I would do it if they were. I guess the question is, would they be willing to do that?
You're not going to trade in division. This is it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if the Yankees want to give up a guy throwing 100 either.
That's what I mean.
Shit.
I think that would be the question, is if they'd be willing to part ways for somebody who Urias is just going to be.
I
Probably
think
a
Ramon Urias is a starting third baseman in this league. I mean,
Well,
do I think he
he
makes an
was-
all-star team? No, but I think he's capable enough to be a starter.
Yeah, but
Great
I think
ball.
for them, he's a chess piece. Like, he's just going to sit there until they go sign somebody bigger.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt. I think you're right there, Brooks.
Unless he hit. I mean,
Boys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump off. I got a couple things I got to handle here at work. So it's good seeing you guys.
All right.
Everyone have a great rest of your day. All right.
see it.
Hey, buddy.
Good boys.
So I want to talk on another one. Did you get the chance to watch that video from Sonny Gray?
I didn't. No, I'll put it that way. I saw it. I saw him sitting there doing the interview, but I didn't listen to it.
Is there a way that you can pull that up for everybody to listen to?
Yes.
It was bad. Do you need me to send it to you?
No, it should be top.
It was bad. That's a guy that doesn't want to be there at all. And I know they said they don't want to trade him. Would somebody like that make sense?
Oh, I'd love that.
Again, it brings another logjam for a right-handed pitcher, but I think we can confidently say he's better than a 4. He's a 2 or a 3, depending on where he would go. And I might even be confident enough to say that he's better than Zach Eflin. You know, I mean, imagine Zach Eflin as your 3.
Yeah.
He does have a no trade clause, Joe. But when you listen to this video, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it, Joe. I'm pretty sure right about now he would waive that no trade clause.
Did you send it in our chat by chance?
No, do you need me to?
Somebody sent it to me recently.
Here,
I'll put it. Probably just because it's not popping up for me.
Here, I just sent it to on Twitter. The Gary Williams show. It's bad. And he sat there and he's like, we signed nobody. Like, clearly depression is in his voice. And I honestly think he wants out. The Cardinals organization has just been taking L after L after L this offseason. When the Jim Edmonds stuff came out, they don't want guys back anymore. Like, that's a historic franchise that's spiraling.
All right, let's present this.
I just don't know how to get the audio to play.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking in my head while I was doing this, but maybe if I change my audio settings. Microphone to this.
Yeah, I don't hear it. That stinks. I don't know. Yeah, so basically, if anybody wants to go back, look up Jim Hayes on Twitter, watch the video. He basically just sat there and was like, dude, like, it's 7:00 in the morning. Like, I don't want to talk to you guys. I haven't had my coffee yet. We haven't signed anyone. He's like, I'm here. Like, it's pretty much what he said. I'm here. Like, that he doesn't want to be there. He does not want to be there. And I don't blame him. And I would look at that. And I would see if he would want to waive his no trade clause. I mean, I'd be willing to. I said that's where I don't know where you go from there, because now you have 7 really good starters. Who sits out? Sagano, Kramer, Povich is already pushed out at that point.
Mm-hmm. It's another righty,
right?
And I would temper expectations a little bit with Sonny Gray, just because he's not going to be the Sonny Gray of old that we know. He's not that guy anymore, but he's still a damn solid pitcher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, could you swing a trade for him and Helsley? I would love that. I would give up a Dean Kramer for that. You're gonna have to give up some kind of talent to acquire 2 guys like that. And Helsley's good, and Helsley would fill a hole in the back end of that bullpen as the 8 guy. Imagine Cano in the 6th, Kittredge in the 7th, Helsley in the 8th, and Felix in the 9th. And then here and there, you can kind of sprinkle in Sir Anthony and Soto and Perez. That's me. I would potentially kick Aiken out for that.
Oh yeah, I would.
That's a damn good bullpen, by the way.
Yeah.
To be able to just use Sir Anthony and Soto and Perez when you need, like, holy hell.
Yeah, I mean, I know Aiken gets a bunch of shit. Like, his numbers are good. I know he doesn't pitch against anybody. Say what you want, but I mean, the guy performs when he gets put in the game. So, but yeah, I mean, if we're gonna bring somebody in like that, then I mean, you have to.
Right.
So,
he's an upgradable guy, but it's got to be for the right piece. It's not just for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we sleep on Aiken. He runs it up to 95, 96 every once in a while from the left side, so he's not terrible.
I don't know why they ever gave up on him as a starter. He never really got a shot under this administration. and this pitching coaching. But I mean, maybe they've tried to, or maybe he's just really content in the bullpen. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely could be. 2026 with G-Rod, Sonny, and Bradish would be awesome.
Do you re-sign Eflin, or do you try?
Yeah, I think Joe put something in here. Like, do we try to re-sign him halfway through the year?
I think if he has a really solid year, they're going to try.
Yeah.
I don't know who his agent is.
I don't have my thing pulled up to look.
Tom O'Connell. So, okay, cool. He's not Boris. So, yeah, a mid-season acquisition is not out of the cards. And he's making 18 this year, which I think is very nice. I would potentially throw him. I mean, look, if he starts out and he's like 6-2 by the All-Star break or something like that, I would throw him another 18. I'd give him, we'll say, three for 60. I mean, you're gonna have to overpay. 3 for 60, I think, is fair.
Yeah.
And that leaves him at,
he's
what is he right
30?
now? Yeah, he's at 33 at that point. No, he's turning 31, so he'll be 34 with a chance at another contract. I'd take that.
Yeah. I would too. I mean, you know what you're getting. I mean, he's going to be.
Unless he thinks he's getting more.
Yeah, he's going to be Kyle Gibson at that point.
Yeah.
He's going to be an innings eater. Doesn't walk a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's worth throwing out there unless you just got that much faith in your guys that are coming through.
Yep.
That's really the key, I guess. And that's kind of what we've done with Grayson, but not that I don't think there was anybody else we really could have gotten. And we talked about it. Like, we could have went 8 years with Fried, but not smart, in my opinion, for our organization.
I don't think Blake Snell fit their mold either. I don't even think they tried for that.
Yeah, I don't think he was leaving the West Coast, and I mean, Kershaw's his favorite pitcher. He's going to go there.
Just his makeup, and I mean, look, the stats are undeniable, but he rarely goes 5, and I don't think that fit what the O's are trying to do. You know, once a week, you're blowing out 4 pitchers in your bullpen once a week. I don't think that fit what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Joe, I think that's a great offer. Look, you're gonna have to overpay a little bit to finally break the mold.
We keep saying overpay, but it's kind of the market now.
No, yeah, but the market's even higher.
Yeah,
for him being a free agent. So if you have to overpay a little bit, just get it done one time, and that's all it takes is one.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people will be like, okay, they're serious, but I don't know.
I guess the last couple things are: what are your thoughts on the Bregman deal?
Not a lot of freaking money.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money for a guy that just consistently hits around 260 and 25 home runs. Like, I forget what I saw the other day. Oh yeah, WAR. He has a 1.0 WAR higher than Arenado, and Arenado makes $20 million less. So is that one WAR better than just acquiring Arenado for not much?
This is one of the things where
$68 million more. I'm sorry.
This is one of the things where the fan base complains, like, we didn't get a big name. Like, that's the big name splash that you would want. And then you look at the stats and you're like, all right, well, why don't we just go pay for this big name when we have another guy? I mean, Arenado's a big name too, but
yeah. Look, the leadership would have been nice. I think Jordan Westburg is a better player right now than Alex Bregman.
I do too. 100% agree.
Why would you want to move Jordan Westburg?
I wouldn't want to. I mean, if anything, they put him at second and send Holiday back down, but I think
then you piss off Holiday.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right move. I
think Holiday he's just a super freak athlete and he's going to have a good year. Why would you want to block that?
I think you just throw him at second for at least 2 months. Like, if those 2 months are a real big struggle, then you need to reevaluate. But I think you just give him, don't have him looking over his shoulder. I think you just put him there and say, hey, figure it out. This is your job.
100%. And with Mateo starting the year on the IL, I think that helps.
Oh, for sure.
Get him his at-bats against lefties, see what he can do. If it's not ugly, like, look, if he's hitting 210, but he's hitting, like he's hitting the ball hard, I'm okay with it. But if he looks ugly against lefties, okay, then after, like you said, a month or two, then you start going with the Mateo route at second.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would have loved Bregman, and that's one of the guys at the beginning of the offseason. I was like, man, that makes too much sense to bring that kind of a
I would
veteran
put him in
in.
left field or first base.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point in time, and the more I've thought about it, it's just another log jam that we don't need to be talking about, to be honest with you, when we have a guy who's ready to be that guy. So,
right. And is he a Boris client?
Bregman?
I think he was, wasn't he?
I thought so, but I'm not 100% sure.
I know Alonso definitely was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's Boris. So, okay, cool. You make Boris happy with Bregman. Okay, and now you piss off Jordan Westbrook, who's also a Boris client. So, like, what does Boris do at this point?
Mm-hmm.
And Jackson Holiday, who's also a Boris client. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It just, there's so many other little things that people just don't take into consideration because they just want a name.
Yeah, we'll see how the spring training goes. I think it's going to be. We're going to learn a lot this spring training and through the first month of the season. What this team's going to be, and I don't disagree with Elias in his comments. I think we're good to go with where we're at. I still think we can have a solid. We have a solid team, but
a balanced team that gets along will win more games than a superstar squad.
Yeah, look at 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. And I understand that people are like, oh, well, the Dodgers just buy everybody. The Dodgers also have a core nucleus of really outstanding people. Like, Ohtani's a really good dude. Freddie Freeman is probably one of the best people in baseball. Mookie Betts, another probably the best teammate in all of baseball. Tommy Edman, great teammate. Like, all of these guys are just fantastic people in your clubhouse. So not only have they bought superstars, they bought superstars with legit good people skills and leadership. The Orioles are just trying to grow that rather than buying it right now.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another day.
I mean, they've turned this franchise around in record time. I can't think of another baseball organization that turned it around this quickly from 3
I
years
see
ago,
people
4 years
comparing
ago.
us to Arizona, because they lost 100 games and then win the World Series 2 years later.
Okay.
I get it. I do.
But
they also have an MVP guy in Ketel Marte that was well into his career at that point. Christian Walker, who was well into his career at that point. They had Zach Gallen that was well into his career at that point. Merrill Kelly. They had a lot of pieces. The Orioles literally had to start over.
A lot of things went right as well for them.
Yeah. Like Corbin Carroll, they hit on that. Like, that was a young guy. But they had so many guys that were already really established in this league. The Orioles did not.
And to be fair, they weren't a great team. I mean, they got hot at the right time.
Yeah.
They got hot. I mean, they took it into the playoffs. I think they were 500 at the All-Star break that year.
Mm-hmm. Who was on their roster in 2022? Was that the year they went to the World Series?
23.
So in 22, how many games? They won 74. So, all right. So in 21, who was on their roster? Christian Walker. Eduardo Escobar was pretty decent. Ketel Marte, David Peralta, Dalton Varsho, who we know is pretty good, Josh Reddick, Stephen Vogt. So you're looking at guys that, they lost a lot of games, but Gerardo Perdomo, these guys were really good. And the next year, who did they have? Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, Perdomo started. Josh Rojas got called up. He had a 3.1 WAR that year. Alec Thomas got called up. Varsho had a 5 WAR that year. Jake McCarthy was decent. Like, they already had so much shit in place to make their run. Okay, so they had Luke Weaver on the mound. Jesus. Kenyon Middleton. Mark Melancon was a decent closer at that time. Ian Kennedy. Like, they had so much in place. Like, it's not even fair to compare the two franchises because the Orioles literally started over.
Yeah.
And they brought all that they started over with literally up by 2022. So within 4 years, they started completely from nothing. They had nothing in the organization, and we started winning within 4 years.
Yeah, that's why you got to give a little grace to these guys. I mean, they've turned it into something where you can argue about it on Twitter now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a pretty short amount of time, usually this would be like a 8-year rebuild process. So it's been pretty impressive, like all the stuff that he's hit on, and give him shit for all you want for not picking up these big name guys or trading or whatever. He did go get Burns for 1 year rental. 1 year rental ended up burning us in the end. In terms of we didn't get to keep him, and I'm sure we were hoping to when we picked him up, but
we essentially got him for Joey Ortiz.
Yeah,
essentially,
that's
because DL Hall's hurt again and he's not pitching well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got him for Joey Ortiz.
Yep,
you made a shot at a guy who probably really didn't have much playing time here. And
he making that trade, I'm sure Elias was like, man, this makes us I thought when we got him, this makes us a contender for the World Series.
They did. It just didn't hit.
Yeah. So
same with Zach Eflin. They gave up a lot for Zach Eflin. I don't think people realize that. Jackson Ballmeister has ace stuff. And you go and throw him in one of the best pitching organizations in baseball. That trade is going to hurt worse, but Zach is produced here. So it was a good trade for both sides, but Jackson Ballmeister is going to shove it up our ass for the next 6 years at some point. That one's going to sting. And Matthew Etzel is like a Kevin Kiermaier kind of player. Like, that was a very good trade for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Tampa long-term probably wins that.
Yeah. It's nice right now.
Yeah. But it's just how those trades work.
Yeah. I mean,
Trevor Rogers could come out and win 7 games in the second half this year, go 7-2 or something with like a 3 ERA. And then, Connor Norby, if he's hitting 230, like, are people going to bitch then?
I'm looking at, Trevor Rogers' stuff is good, man. When if he can figure it out. Like, I was looking at some of the Marlins stats when he was good. Like, I don't think he's far off.
No.
Like, there's not much that needs to change for him to get back to that point. I mean, throwing strikes would be number one. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you said, staying healthy. That's the same thing for Kramer. Kramer doesn't, he always misses a
little bit of time, something small.
But yeah, it's always something small, which is fine. And it's, like we talked about earlier, if he's missing games, it's because something's actually wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that 120 off the wrist and pitched within 5 days.
Yep.
Guy wants the ball.
Yep.
So same with Eflin. He's ready to shove it down somebody's throat. Same with Grayson.
Charlie's always been that way. Always.
Yep. He pitches well in the biggest moments. We've always seen it even from Pittsburgh when I think he was on the team when Pittsburgh made that little playoff.
Yep.
Made the playoffs a couple times. So
he pitched really well in Tampa with a young squad at the time. And then he goes over to Atlanta with Spencer Strider and Soroka and those guys. They pitch really well. Fried, yeah. Uncle Charlie, this isn't his first rodeo with young guys.
Yeah. So lot to be excited about. I see a lot of negative. We both see a lot of negativity on Twitter towards the Orioles and some of the offseason stuff here, but there's a lot to be excited about.
I think at this point, it all stemmed from Lamar Jackson. Baltimore fans just want that aha, I told you so moment.
Yeah.
And they don't care who they tear down in the process.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
It all started from Lamar. And when the team started getting better, after that 2019, 2020 season with Lamar, and the Orioles started getting better in 2022, that little momentum shift over, and now we've kind of seen that. They're all waiting for that, I told you Elias wasn't good. That's my take on that.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to be right, and they want to be the first one to say it, and now everyone's kind of jumping on it. It's like, man, you guys forgot pretty quickly about what he's done for this organization in a short amount of time.
Yep.
So, but yeah, not a ton more that I can see. I saw, what's his name for Kansas City got extended.
Yep.
today.
Good contract for him.
That's I'm surprised he took it, to be honest with you.
Well, it balled out his arbitration year. So he was only making $800,000 for the next 2 years. So he gets basically he gets a pay bump.
Okay. That makes sense then. That was an appreciation. I don't see anything else. Am I missing anything that happened recently but between last week and this week?
Nope. What are your expectations for Kjerstad, numbers wise?
And
here's another one for you. Imagine if Kjerstad comes out and hits right-handed and left-handed pitching. Now you got a really big log jam in the outfield.
Yeah, I know. I mean, everyone wants to say, yeah, he has been hitting left-handed pitching, but he got like 10 at bats last year against left-handers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did he have like 6 hits or whatever in this? Yes. But
I think he has a good year.
I think so
he gets
too.
consistent at bats.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm wondering here. If he's how much platooning it's actually gonna be, and how much they're just gonna let him go and have the job. But it could just be moving him to DH when lefties are pitching, probably when lefties are pitching. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. All right, well, I got to wrap it up. I got to go upstairs and hang out with the kids.
Me too. But I do think 30 bombs. Give me 30 bombs for him.
I like it.
35, 105. I like that too. But I'm expecting a minimum 30. I think if he gets consistent at bats, there's no reason why he can't do it unless for some reason he struggles, which I am not putting that on him. So.
Yep. But cool.
Anyway, I got to go too. I hear my little one screaming. So
yeah, me too.
Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. We'll actually get a day and a time set here soon. Maybe when the season starts.
For sure.
Better. But anyway.
Yeah, my biggest thing is Little League Baseball starting up soon, mid-March, and then my Saturday mornings are typically shot.
Yeah.
So we'll figure something out, probably sometime during the week or something.
Yeah, I just want to get something nailed down so people know when to come check us out. Same day, same time every week. So
yep.
Anyway, other than that, check out Pigtown Sports, this podcast. You guys go live, 2 or 3 times a week or something?
Yeah, we usually just text each other and then just go.
Put out Zach puts out a ton of content. We're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'll be down at spring training. So join our channel. You'll be able to follow us. We're going to go live for behind the scenes stuff while we're out drinking as well. So it should be a fun time to see all the antics. So
for sure.
Other than that, have a good Saturday.
See you guys.